Okay, so let me just run through this, which will give you a little bit of an idea of what's required, and then I can maybe just clarify on it with questions, or maybe as we're going through. All right. Okay, so this is, we're going to go back through the mandate of the SACPCMP, the purpose of registration, purpose of assessment, and then the registration policies and guidelines. Just very briefly. All right. So you talked about what qualifications are permissible in terms of registration with SACPCMP. Any degree or any that is recognized by the Council for the Built Environment. Architecture, engineering, and that includes mechanical, electrical, civils, structural. Landscape architects, construction and project managers, property valuers, and quantity surveying. But if you're unsure, then just look at the Council for the Built Environment website, and that will tell you. All right. So the Ministry of Public Works is appointed the council. Okay. So SACP by the Act 48 of 2000, and if for those of you who are going to want to apply, this is one of the documents that you need to read, and you need to understand it. It includes two components called the identification of work for construction managers and for construction project managers. So, this just details the governance and requirements that the SACPCMP, that's their mandate. So you can read that in Act 48. Okay, so the mandate is to register professionals in project and construction management, accreditation of academic institutions in order to provide courses and to candidates, but also to accredit academic institutions for recognized qualifications for the SACP or from the SACPCMP. Okay. Then I mentioned earlier the identification of work. That will tell you what activities CPMs are required to do and what activities construction managers are required to do. I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Well, part of their mandate is also to develop project and construction managers, and obviously to protect, as with SACI and others, to protect the public, to ensure that we have qualified project managers operating, and not those who are not covered by the SACPCMP. I don't know. Has anybody got any questions there? Maybe let me stop at the end of each slide. Anybody got any questions on the mandate? Yeah, so they're the only mandated body in terms of approval of and registration of construction managers and construction project managers. All right. PMSA are not registered to do that. PMI are not registered to do that at the moment in terms of where we are. Sorry, I see Tebogo, you got a question.
Yeah, I'm asking what qualification does it needed for one to register?
We'll come to that now. We'll come to that now, Tebogo. Okay. All right.
Thanks.
So bear in mind, just let me stop there. It's got to be architect. You saw the categories: architecture, engineering, etc. All right. So it's got to be in that grouping. All right. Let me just come to the qualifications. That might help. All right. The purpose of the registration is to ensure that registered persons are bound by the prescripts and the code of conduct that SACPCMP subscribe to. Obviously, the purpose of the registration is to protect the public and ensure those who practice or have been assessed and accorded the due professional standing as per the Act. and obviously to protect the public by ensuring that the public has the recourse. So if there's a problem with the professional's conduct, there's a body that can be reported to, and that is SACPCMP. All right, so let me just stop here. So the process of registration is that if you have a recognized qualification, all right, then you can go directly to what they call professional registration. What you then do is you complete an application form together with the necessary reports and documents, and we'll go through those a bit later. Those are then submitted for assessment by 3 independent assessors. And if you get through the assessment process, they will recommend you for professional interview, and then you'll go and have a professional interview. All right, so that's broadly the process. And obviously, the assessment is done with fairness, transparency, equity, and objectivity. All right. And it gives a fair basis for establishing suitability, that's experience, knowledge, and expertise of the applicants for registration in the category being applied for. We'll talk about those. Assessment, yeah, we're not there to protect. We're there to validate experience, knowledge, and expertise. So there's no gatekeeping, there's no limited number, but there is a process that you need to go through. All right. I think, Rikoto.
Hi, how are you?
All right, thank you.
All right. Just a question on the qualifications.
Okay. Yeah.
I've done a BSc in physics and applied mathematics. And then now I'm doing
okay.
Yeah, now I'm doing the postgraduate diploma in project management. I have been working in the construction industry for a number of years as an operations manager.
So Rikotso, your qualification is not accredited. It's not an accredited qualification in terms of the SACPCMP.
Yes.
Okay. So, and your diploma is not supported as a dominant qualification. All right. So you have you've got 2 options. One is to go and get yourself a diploma in engineering. All right. Or
okay.
Or you go what they call the RPL route, recognition of prior learning.
Okay.
And that you need a minimum of 10 years experience. Minimum.
Oh, okay.
And it's quite an onerous process. It's a long process. It's not onerous. It's a long process. So yeah.
So
right.
The best route will be to go over via the diploma in engineering.
I would get yourself a national diploma or BTech or whatever. Yeah. Quite honestly, Rikotso. Okay. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's an accredited honors degree in the built environment, as we talked about earlier, architecture, engineering, etc., with a minimum of 4 years postgraduate relevant practical experience. And that's from, a recognized South African university. And if you've got a qualification done outside or awarded from outside South Africa, you've obviously got to get SACPCMP approval, all right, or a SACPCMP equivalent. Then an accredited BTech in the built environment with a minimum of 5 years postgraduate experience, or an accredited higher national diploma with a minimum of 6 years experience post-graduation and it's relevant experience, or a national diploma, in which case you've got to have 7 years postgraduate relevant experience. And guys, let me say to you, so generally what we find is that somebody who's done an honors degree will generally have to do about 6 years to get 4 years relevant experience. Siatati?
I just wanted to check when you want to register as a candidate. Do you have to have experience? How does that one work? Or we are still going there?
No. So you can as long as you've got a relevant qualification. Siatati. All right. So if you've got an honors degree, or a BTEC, or a national high national diploma, or a national diploma, then you can register as a candidate. All right.
I've got a BTEC in quantity surveying. With
yep, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Right,
so the question, well, let me just ask you, why do you want to register as a candidate?
When I checked on the website, they said that you need to have completed the projects, maybe 4 projects in the 4 years, 4 years.
Right.
So I'm now working in an industry that is not, I'm in the tourism industry. So I've last worked as a quantity surveyor and 5 years back. So I don't have a record of the projects that I've done 4 years ago. So
what are you doing at the moment? Sorry, Siatati, what are you doing at the moment?
I manage CAPEX projects. So I do a project management work. Yes.
For who?
For Robben Island Museum.
Okay, all right. Listen, I don't want to get into the detail.
Okay.
I mean, there's obviously you can register as a candidate, but what you need to do is to be in an environment, whether you're a candidate or you're fully qualified, where you have a relevant experience. Okay. Remember, they're looking for construction project managers or construction managers.
Okay.
So you need to be, so maybe let me just stop there and just run through. So you're aware that there's 6 stages to project development recognized by SACP. So the first one is initiation, concept of viability, design, detail design, procurement, cost, execution, and then closeout. All right. So if you want to apply for a CPM, you'll need experience in all of those 6 stages. You want to apply for a, sorry?
Yes, I work with consultants. I work on the client side in most cases. Then I work with all the project managers for all the project as the client.
Okay. Yes. So yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So I think it depends, Siatati, what sort of experience you've got.
Okay.
Yeah. Without seeing your CV and having a look at your qualifications and your work experience, is difficult to assess that. Yeah, listen, maybe can we talk to that at the end, Siatati? Because I think it's going to apply to a lot of other people as well. All right. Just let me go through the requirements. All right. Okay. So that's the qualification issue. I hope that's been addressed. Has anybody got any questions on that, on the qualifications? Okay, so yeah, so the same as I mentioned earlier, the same applies for registration as a candidate. You need to have an accredited honors degree, accredited BTEC, accredited national diploma, national high diploma, or national diploma. Okay, now if you do not have a recognized qualification, then you need to go through the process of RPL, which is the recognition of prior learning. And we'll go through that. So there's also what they call construction mentors that provide mentorship to the construction industry. I don't think we're talking to that at the moment. So when you go to apply for registration, you have to complete the application form. They want certified copies of your ID, your qualifications, your CPD, and all of that sort of stuff, all right? Then they want a CV, and all of the CV, project profile, and the reports. The templates of those are on the SACPCMP website. All right. So if you're going to apply to SACPCMP, just please make sure you use their template to put your CV together. And there's a few critical requirements of that, but we can talk about that in the future. Then the project profile, they want a list of projects that you've done, or not just a list, actually details of projects you've been involved in the last 4 years. They need to have been completed, not just done, they need to be completed in the last 4 years. There are, in terms of the scoring, there are available for the project profile. And you need to, so if you submit 5 projects that are relevant and that are completed, you can get 5 points. All right. And then you need to submit 2 reports, one on the successes. So in other words, it's done by knowledge area. You have to address each of the 10 knowledge areas and show how you managed those knowledge areas and the deliverables. And then the second report is similar to the first, but it's challenges. So how you've, the challenges you faced in managing your project in the knowledge areas, how you overcame them or mitigated them, and then what lessons you learned. So there's 2 reports, one on successes and one on challenges.
I just have one question to ask.
Okay, Mohamedi.
In terms of when you're listing your projects, when you're doing your application form, can I also include the experience that I did before I became a candidate, for example?
Absolutely. You might, on your CV, you will list your total experience from when you left, from when you qualified to where you are today.
Oh, great stuff. Thank you. Thank you, Steph.
All right, Mohamedi, but listen, when you come to the projects, so let me just go back on this. Your project profile, you only need to submit 5 relevant, okay? So anything outside of the 4 years, the assessors will not. Okay, so that's, I've had instances where people submit 20 projects, and I just go through and I just, you just ones that are outside the last 4 years. So just be careful of that. Alrighty. And when you're doing your reports, do it on a project that was completed. In fact, the more current the project is, okay, but certainly not outside the last 4 years. Michelle?
I just wanted to ask a question, and sorry, it might be a bit of a silly question, but you, in one of your previous slides, you made an emphasis on the construction aspect. So you're talking particularly on construction project managers and not just project managers in general, or is that something that you're going to come to
No, you're right. No, you're right. So we're not dealing with project managers in the banking sector, project managers in the financial sector, in the IT sector.
No, what I mean is, it can still be within the engineering side. I'm referring to engineering, but without being on the construction, perhaps, but dealing with, because with the lady that was asking the question before, it seemed that it was that situation where the person's dealing mostly with consultants or project managing from that side and not necessarily on the construction side. So I just wanted to clarify if I'm in the correct session.
So, Michelle, the SACPCMP registered two particular groupings. One is construction project management. And that is stage 1. So you're going right from initiation, feasibility, design, procurement, and then you're into construction and closeout. So a construction project manager would manage each of those stages. So they would be responsible to manage construction from the client's perspective. Does that make sense?
Okay.
They would manage the contract. Yeah.
Yes. I just wasn't sure because I was coming in this session to just try and find a link with the PMP, for example. I'm from a PMP and wanted to also register within the South African space.
Yeah, you can do that, eh? Yeah, you can do that. No,
okay,
you can
thank
do
you.
that. Yeah, no, if we've had a lot of guys doing PMP. In fact, I'm doing my CAPM at the moment. Just if that gives you any comfort. All right.
Okay, thank you. I'll continue.
Okay, all right. SK.
Okay, so my questions pertains to I've spent the last 10 years working within the power generation sector in various ESCOM power stations, and also looking over managing projects that were outages, which is basically construction. We'll go and maintain boilers, cut out the worn out sections, install new ones. So we manage that side of things. So that's where my experience was previously. And then now I've more recently moved into an EPCM environment. So here I'm actually a project engineer on a feasibility study that we are doing for a cobalt refinery somewhere in the Zambia area. So I think that now the experience that I have from the ESCOM spaces, it's experience I could use to register, because if that's the case, then I can register immediately. But I was thinking that since this one I'm involved in, we are dealing with greenfields projects that will start from initiation and all of those steps that you've mentioned. Those sound more relevant. Can you please shed some light for me on this one, sir?
Now, listen, we've had a lot of, there's a lot of guys from ESCOM who apply. So certainly the experience you're getting with or have had with ESCOM and their projects is certainly relevant. All right. What you will need to decide is whether you want to apply for CPM or CM. Bearing in mind, CM goes from procurement through construction to closeout. Does that make sense?
Sorry, sir. So you say, is it CM or is it CPM that goes?
So no, CM, construction management, goes stage 4, which is procurement, stage 5, which is execution, stage 6, which is closeout.
Okay, whereas CPM starts from the beginning, initiation.
Stage 1, absolutely, yeah. So you just need to decide which one you want to apply for. But certainly, if you're doing feasibility studies, it sounds like your experience could marry up with CPM.
Yes. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, sir.
That helps. Thank you, okay. All righty. So let me just carry on. So yeah, these are the reports and the documents that you want. Guys, let me just say, we don't have enough time to go through it today, but I'll have a chat to Johan, because we need to deal with the content of the documents and the presentation of the documents. Bear in mind that the assessors, they don't see you initially. In fact, they don't see you, they see your documents. And if the content is not correct and the presentation is not correct, and it's difficult for the assessors to assess the information that is required, it makes it very, very difficult for them to assess. Okay, so, and if it's not presented correctly, it might be misinterpreted, and you might not get through the assessment process. So the content and presentation of the documents, that is the CV, the project profile, and the 2 reports, is absolutely key. All right, so this is the project profile. So your project profile, they want the name of the project, the type and description of the project, the location, the client, and the position of the client, participating organizations, doesn't matter whether you're doing a CM or CPM, the original completion date and actual completion date, and obviously that completion date must be in the last 4 years. Practical completion, it must be 100%, right? Otherwise it's not, it's partially relevant, but in order to score the points, you need to have completed projects. Total value of projects. People ask me what is a good value. There is no good value, but generally, I would say a minimum of 10 million. All right. Participation of your organization and your role. This is hang of important. What did you do? Were you the principal? Were you the project manager? Were you the principal consultant, the principal agent? if you were using BCC, or the engineer if you were using FIDIC or whatever, okay? Very key that. And then obviously they want to know if the project was successfully completed. So yeah, just to bear that in mind. Yeah, the 2 reports, you've been through it, the successes and the challenges. And they say apply the context of the 9 knowledge areas. In fact, there are 10 knowledge areas now to include stakeholder management. So these are the knowledge areas that the report you need to write. It's about 200 words per knowledge area, describing how you managed it and what the deliverables were. All right, so that is the end of this particular presentation. Maybe we can field some questions.
Hi, yes, Steve. If you want to work on projects in South Africa, only the SACPMP registered professionals may. If you've got an international one like the PMP or one of those, can you also be appointed to work?
No. From a regulatory point of view, no, because the only regulatory body in South Africa is the SACPCMP. When you're working in South Africa, SACPCMP, when you're working internationally, you have, let me just say, you have particular requirements of each country. PMP is generally, and CPM are generally internationally recognized, but each country may have their own registration requirements for PMs.
And does the SACPMP have a mobility forum, someone or a forum that goes into Africa and countries like that to see if they can get some mobility going?
No. I think they're busy just trying to get themselves established and recognized in South Africa. There's a lot of work on that, Johan. I mean, listen, and I haven't tested it, but I've been asked a few times, because I do a lot of traveling in Africa. The guys, and it sort of gives them a bit of comfort that you've got a recognized registration, even if it's not an internationally recognized qualification, or sorry, registration.
Yeah,
it gives comfort, but I think certainly internationally, I would say PMP is recognized. Absolutely.
I must say, I find the years of experience post-qualification quite interesting, because if you look at your engineers, QSs and architects, you need a minimum of 3 years. Look, it takes an engineer, as you know, about 5.5 years to register as a professional. And yet the project managers run from 4 to 6, what's it, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, but you know why? Because generally the guys are coming out of an engineering or technical background. And bear in mind that a lot of that experience will be either totally focused on getting their PRNs or PR Tech, whatever. And it's generally not PM focused. It's interesting that when you go for the interview, you can see the type. You see, I think people have a perception of what project management is. There needs to be a common understanding of what it is, and I think it's a lot more than people think it is, in my opinion. Sorry, Londiwe, you've got a question.
Hi. I attempted registering in, I think it was 2019. I wasn't a candidate. I just went straight for the professional registration.
And that's fine.
And then I was rejected. Part of the comments was, I have not portrayed the 5 phases of a project life cycle.
Well, so it would be 6, eh? It would be 6.
Pardon?
It's 6.
Okay. 6, yes. So I wanted to know, in which part of my report or which section do I properly communicate my involvement in all the phases?
It's all the documents, Londiwe. So it'll start with your CV. Have you in your employment record, have you shown evidence of involvement in all 6 stages?
Yes, I believe that. Yes.
Well, yeah, and then your project profile will again further emphasize that, right? When it
Okay.
asks you for your role, and then finally we can very quickly tell from the reports whether people have had the necessary exposure in managing the knowledge areas, particularly the knowledge areas and the stages. You can tell that very easily, Londiwe. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why in class earlier, it's very important. The content of those documents is key. Yeah.
Okay, no, thank you. And then the second question is it better to start as a candidate, even if you have the experience, or you can just shoot for it?
I don't want to go there. I really don't, because I think it's each person's call. You know, candidature is fine, providing you are mentored.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So if you're not being mentored, you can be a candidate. I've had people I've been mentoring previously have been registered for about 8 years as candidates.
Okay.
But they didn't have the right mentorship, so they still couldn't, didn't help them. So you need to have mentorship if you're going to go through that process. Tamilo, carry on.
Okay. Thanks, Stefan. Yeah, no, mine is again, I'm not sure if I'm jumping the gun here, but I have submitted my reports, and assessors have approved me for an interview.
Whoa,
so,
okay, good.
Yeah, I just wanted to check with you in terms of because I'm actually struggling with how I'm going to structure my presentation, because I think after booking for an interview, they indicated that I won't be doing a presentation or anything, have a sort of a PowerPoint presentation or anything like
Nothing.
that.
No, Tamilo, no.
So I'm just trying to gauge in terms of how structure their presentation. Should it be what stages? Say going from stage. Sorry.
Just let me stop you there. Because I think what you're doing. I think you think there's a prescriptive. There is a reasonably prescriptive approach, but the panel members may take their own approach to the interview.
Okay.
The only requirement is that they have got to assess your experience in all 6 stages. The panel of 3 or 4 people have to assess your experience and knowledge in the 6 stages. Okay. So whether they allow you, and it's not a presentation, you've got to talk through it. You mustn't have any notes. They need you to talk through the 6 stages and your experience in managing the deliverables and managing the knowledge. Yeah.
Okay. No. I think
not...
yeah. I think you answered my question. Because what I was actually looking at doing, in fact, was looking at the IDOW and sort of using that as a guide.
What, the identification of work?
Yes.
Yeah, you can use the identification of work, but you also need to look at PMBOK and look at the deliverables under each knowledge area.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that makes sense.
Okay, so I'm not sure if it's for this meeting, or maybe for the next one will be more detailed in terms of what the requirements, but just a quick one. The knowledge areas, there's 9 of it that you need to demonstrate.
There's 10.
10, okay. I know of 9. So anyway, we in terms of that, I just maybe wanted some guidance in terms of the project integration management, and I was guided that you maybe populate that one last. Is that true, or what is your
sorry, Brent, just repeat that. Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
The one knowledge area is project integration management.
Yes, correct. And that's the first one that you tell.
Correct. So I was told to maybe populate that last because so I don't clearly understand that one yet. I don't know if you can maybe shed some light on that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, all of these, Brent, you know, it's listen, you've got to, and it's key that have you read the PMBOK description
Yes,
for
yeah,
integration
yeah.
management? Have you read that?
Yes, I have, yes.
So what are the deliverables then of integration management?
Okay, yeah. I was told that
Okay.
populate your other ones and then come back to that one.
You should be able to do it first. Yeah. You see,
Okay.
what you've got to do is understand the deliverables. Once you understand the deliverables of each knowledge area, then that's what you address. The same with scope, quality, all of that. Yeah.
The other ones are pretty straightforward. It's just that one but yeah.
Yeah, just look at the deliverables.
Okay, I'll do that.
Just look at the deliverables. Okay.
And then just to answer Lindue's question, I don't know if this is also just hearsay, but it was the last course that I went on for this type of thing. Is
yeah,
if you they say, okay, I don't know if you don't want to say it, but they said if you register as a candidate, then you must complete a logbook. So
every year, absolutely right. Yeah. And they charge you a couple of $100 to review it.
Correct. So if you can't apply immediately and not go as a candidate, and because they might refer you to complete the logbook if it's not 100%. So rather not as a candidate if you have the experience, in my opinion.
Now, Brent, you should be completely. I think they're going to ask you for a logbook anyway.
Okay.
When you submit, yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Stephen.
So be prepared to yeah. Do you know about the submission windows? Do you?
I'm not aware of them. No.
Okay. All right. So let me just tell you, they've introduced a new system where applications they're having what they call application windows. All right.
Okay.
So this window opened on the 4th of July and ends on the 4th of August.
Okay.
So and the next window after that opens, I think it's the 4th of October. So if you miss this window, you can only submit from the 4th of October onwards in that window. All right.
It's the window. Okay. Okay. That's good to know. Thanks so much.
It's on that website, on their website as well. It's called the registration calendar.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Alrighty.
Thanks, eh?
Siatati.
I was not really answered on the question that I had, starting with being a candidate and then the professional. I think I will have to start with the candidate because I do not have now projects that were done in the last 4 years. So and I'm required to be registered. So I think I need to, actually I'm asking if then I apply or I register as a candidate, the logbook that I have, since I'm a client, so I'll be working from the client side, not from the construction or the consultant side. What is it then? Who will sign my logbook? Someone that is working on the client side or the project manager of that project that I'm currently doing? That's the first question. And secondly,
let me answer that question, Siatati. Your mentor or internal supervisor will have to sign that, and then you will have to get a registered person with SACPCMP to also sign it.
Okay.
All right. So yeah.
Your logbook must. Yeah. Okay. If then it's signed by a consultant that I'm working with in that project, is it fine?
Is he registered?
Yes.
That's fine. But if I were him, I would not countersign an application a logbook unless it has been signed by your supervisor or internal mentor. Okay.
Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. And then the second question is, when I tried to apply yesterday, I was applying online on the website as a candidate. Yeah. But then when I got to that part, it requires me to submit the CV and the as if I'm registering for the project, the professional. So I'm not sure that I stuck at that point where I need to submit the projects, what I did and all that. Whereas I am now, yeah, that's what happened to me yesterday. So I didn't know what to do then from then. I tried to call him, but there was no one who answered the calls and all that.
So, Tati, I can't answer you. I know that, so in fact, the window closes tomorrow. So
Yes.
they might not be accepting any more applications. They really are sticking quite doggedly to the windows, these registration windows. But I can't see why they would have asked you to submit all that detail unless they felt you. Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's where I start. I don't know who to call, who to go to now. So I'm not sure whether you can assist me.
Listen, just wait. Can I just suggest you wait for a week and then try again? All right. Michelle.
Thank you again for sharing the knowledge. Yeah. Just a quick question. Are there any similarities between or to your knowledge at least, between the PMI processes and the processes? Yeah. The reason I ask is because when the information required for these reports, it kind of sounds similar to the PMP experience reports that I had to submit when I did my process.
Yeah, that would have been a little while ago though, hey, because they've now changed it.
Yes, I done it some time back.
PM Box 7, which is agile.
That's correct. Yeah, it's changed into the agile. So are there any similarities or any advice you can provide in terms of following that?
Listen, what they're looking for, and where we've had PMP guys come and failed. And the reason is that it's the experience they're looking for is very much hands-on. They want to know that you've done it. They want to know that you've delivered it. Yes. Very, very focused on practical experience. You need to evidence that you've done the job. Yeah, you've done the job. Okay.
Okay. So is this where the interview comes in with where they will explore a lot more into the experience one has? Okay.
Well, they're just testing the reports. What they will do, you've submitted a document, right, which has been assessed. Okay. And they'll just check the validity of those documents and your experience. You know.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks again.
And Dylan,
Sure. Great. I've got 3 questions. The first one, in terms of the knowledge areas, you mentioned that there are 10, though I see that the template on the website speaks to 9. Do we report on 9 or 10?
Generally, it's a good idea to report on 10. Okay. What they haven't got on the website, I think, is stakeholder management.
Yes, it's stakeholder management.
It's good to report on the 10.
Okay, and then secondly, if your application is rejected, is there a time period when you can resubmit, or can you just submit as soon as you've filled in the gaps?
And Delia, have you been rejected?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. How long ago did you apply?
I sent it through in May, and I received feedback. I think it was at the end of July, so I think it was Monday.
Okay. So was that as a result of the interview or as a result of the assessment?
Assessment.
Okay. Listen, we need to look at that, eh? All right. Because it depends. What did they? Yeah, and I don't want to go into that detail here, but you need to look at the letter they sent you. All right. I'll have a chat to Johan afterwards, and we'll figure out how we're going to deal with these specific issues. All right, Andelia. All right.
Because I was just thinking along the lines of if the comments that they've raised are something that can be changed in the report, could one do those changes?
Maybe. Listen, you can't submit before October anyway, but generally it's a good idea to wait 6 months. Okay.
6 months.
I would suggest you look at the January window, but listen, we need to have a look at that later. All right.
Okay. And then in terms of the window 2, you mentioned that it's closing on the 4th of August. would that be first thing on the 4th or the end of day on the 4th? So someone would be expecting to submit by the end of today.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not SACPCMP. All right.
Okay.
I would suggest don't leave it till the 11th. I think it is midnight, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Trinity.
Maybe just to answer, say, Tati's question, maybe I could help with that, because I also tried applying as a candidate construction manager. If you're applying as a candidate, I think they just want your ID, CV, qualification, and so you just submit those, and and then I'm having a bit of a problem, but I'm not sure if you guys can help, So I applied yesterday and I paid the 2.8 that they wanted.
For what?
For a candidate as a candidate, construction manager. And I'm struggling to get a hold of the guys. I sent the admin an email just for my proof of payment, but I'm not getting anything from the
you will not get a prompt response, eh? You will not. They just bear in mind these windows that they've got are so they're getting flooded with applications. All right. So just I would suggest that you would probably get an answer within 3 to 4 weeks after the close of the window tomorrow. Who did you send an email to? Did you email them?
Yeah, to the admin. Yeah, I sent an email to admin at And then just one last question: is it possible for the application to be rejected as a candidate construction manager?
Highly unlikely. Depends on your qualification. What was your qualification?
I have a BTech in mechanical engineering.
No, unlikely.
No,
unlikely.
Okay.
Just highly unlikely. Yeah, I'll be very, very surprised if they did. All right. Michael.
Just a quick question, man, we spoke about the what you need to qualify, what sort of qualifications. I see the one is an accredited national high diploma in the built environment field with a minimum of 6 years relevant postgraduate experience. You're not talking about, it says minimum, so I can write for longer as well, because the reason I'm asking that is that I started with work quite long ago, so I stage 1 stuff might have been done sometime on one project, and like you might have done feasibility studies and all that. Now, in the last 5-6 years, that really hasn't been part of the experience. Do I not only do 6 years, or can at 6 years cover a longer period?
No, no, Michael, you need to cover your experience since you graduated. They want to see what you've done.
Okay, so look, I understand the proper. So
there's no restriction on more than 6 years. Okay, but you need to have relevant experience.
Yeah.
My gut is if you haven't been doing stages 1 and 2 for the last 5-6 years, that will be questioned.
No, well, what I'm saying, I'm trying to say I've done varied bits of work over since 1987. Part of it, of all the initially design stages of the job, to go from straight feasibility studies to construction and the whole thing to close out. So there's but other jobs along the way I came in at different levels. So it might not have been
stages. Okay.
From the beginning. That's what I'm trying to get at. So the thing that what I learned from you now, I actually got to list all my experiences from quite a long time. I didn't
from when you started, yeah, correct.
Okay. Thanks a lot, sir.
All right, okay, man. We need to chat about the way forward here, because there seems to be quite a lot of specific guidance that's needed with certain individuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Not of a general nature.
Yeah, man.
Okay, guys. Thanks very, very much. Thanks, Johan.